Guess who has the most points per game in all of Major League Soccer? It is the Vancouver Whitecaps. They are 2 back of the Galaxy with a game in hand.
Power of
They
Vanny.
go on the road to Lumen Field, Seattle, and they take over, and they move into that tie at the top of the West. Again, 2 points back to the top of the West with the game in hand, as mentioned. Now, though, we have to ask Gareth Wheeler, is this team truly an MLS Cup contender?
I think so. We'll know more within the next 6 weeks. I'll get to that in a moment. The game, the Whitecaps Sounders game was turned on its head by, for me, what was a questionable VAR decision, sending off a player on the Sounders. Whitecaps were up a man and they took full advantage. I look at this team as having so much more depth, different players that can do damage, rather than the team last year that rode the coattails of Gould and White from a certain perspective. By the way, Brian White has 50 goals and none of them have been penalty. Like, that is a big record. Like, this guy is a natural born goal scorer, and I continue to love the way that he plays. But what really caught my eye was a couple Canadians playing in wide areas. Sam Adekubi was balling out. This guy fit can do real damage with this Whitecaps team. And Ali Ahmed on the other side, like, they provide the threat, the wide threat that they maybe lacked at certain times last year. And that was a team that had Larea. They just didn't really have consistent balance, I don't think. So look, they addressed those two areas of the field, and I think that makes them scary with Kubas and Vite in the middle. Man, this team is just really, really well structured. And oftentimes, like, they won't get the international, I'm calling it international press, because they get a lot of attention in this country, but in the US, maybe they fall below the radar a little bit behind Galaxy and Inter Miami. But this team is full of substance. I think that they might still need one player. And the thing that stands out the most is their underlying numbers, because last year they were XG, expected goals darlings, but they underproduced what their XG actually was. Now they're crushing it. Like, they're probably, I think they're about 3 or 4 goals above what their XG is right now, but they're third best in all of Major League Soccer in expected goal differential. That speaks volumes to me. Just lastly, really quickly, they go on a streak where they play at Red Bulls this weekend. That's a tough game. This Red Bulls team is really good. At home to Austin, that's the one that kind of looks like a little bit of a lock. Then at LAFC, at Moyes Bombito in Colorado, who are a difficult team this campaign, at Seattle again with revenge on their mind. Then they welcome Lionel Messi and Inter Miami to BC Place May 25th. This 6 weeks is going to tell a lot about how good this team is. And this is a time they can go and improve to the footballing public that consumes Major League Soccer, that they are legitimate contenders. I believe that they are.
Jordan Wilson to chime in.
This squad, man, when you look at them and when they get going and how they can interchange is the only thing I have to add with what Wheel said. And maybe rubbing heads with him, he's rubbing off on me because I see it so clearly the same way he does. They could do it. They have the depth. And the way Vanny, when we had him on the show, he said that you could just interchange and have players doing a different shift. You could play Ali Ahmed in the middle if you want to, Kubas, Vite. You have guys to chime in. And you're looking at last season and the two big dogs needed some help. And I think they have it this year. Maybe you'd want to see in an ideal world to add one more up top, but this squad could go and do it. They just got to stay fresh and stay fit, but they're the real deal.
I think you're starting to have to ask why not with the Whitecaps as opposed to look for reasons why. Like, this is a deep team with a lot of quality, and Gold and White just show no signs of slowing down. If anything, they're getting better as a partnership.
Yeah, definitely a story that we are thrilled to see blossom. And of course, they won't be beginning the TELUS Canadian Championship in round 1 as a finalist. We see them in the next round, but I think there's going to be some CPL teams that are going to go, when they come up against the Whitecaps, either Cavalry or Vancouver. More on that in a little bit. Let's stay in MLS and wrap this up. Back to you, Oliver Platt, with Toronto FC, because, well, it's been up and down. They're 500. They have already matched their win total from last season under John Herdman. But you look at the schedule and you say, okay, you can only play your schedule, but the opposition has been a bit more of the lower tier than, and just comparing it to what the Whitecaps and some of the other clubs have faced. But with all that said, where is this team? What's the optimism level for supporters, or where should it be if it was up to you to pin the barometer?
I mean, it depends on where you kind of like frame your expectation level, right? Like if you're still thinking in terms of we spent millions and millions of dollars on Insigne and Bernadeschi, and we're going to create a super team and we're going to dominate MLS and win trophies. Like, I'm still a little bit pessimistic about that because I still have a lot of questions about this team. And I think there are some weak spots and some area you mentioned it, Adam, in terms of the quality of opponents. They're grinding out results right now. But if your kind of frame of reference is just the start of this season, where I personally didn't see a lot of hope for this team, I didn't see it as a playoff team. I thought there were too many holes in the squad. I thought there were too many questions around the attitude of players coming out of last season, obviously. Well, maybe you're feeling a lot more optimistic now because Bernadeschi, from an attacking point of view, maybe isn't contributing as much as he'd like, but he's committed. He's putting the yards in. Owusu's starting to get some goals. The defense is held together through a lot of injuries. Like, there are some reasons to believe that this team, while it may not be one of the best in MLS, can be a playoff team this season. And that's something that I personally didn't think was a big possibility at the start of the year. So on that basis, you can feel pretty good about where this team is.
Well, just really quickly, it's going to take time for supporters, but if you want to rally around the basics, hard work, organized, honest team, that's how they played.
Yeah.
And that is a huge step in the right direction. Commitment alone, every match they're organized, they know what they're doing, they're on the same page, and they play together as a group. So that is a step in the right direction. Although the squad is still lacking to compete against some of the better teams in Major League Soccer. That's quite clear.
Well, it's also quite clear that they will head into the TELUS Canadian Championship as the favorites. As mentioned, they'll be moving and beginning in the second round. The preliminary round, though, it begins this week on OneSoccer. Cavalry hosting Vancouver on Tuesday night. And then we have Toronto FC and Simcoe County Rovers from League One Ontario, the champs at BMO Field, all single elimination matches in this round. So chances for upsets. So I'm going to go around the horn to each of you, and you can either tell me who might be the most likely to provide an upset or which match you are looking for, because the answers might be the same. It is Cavalry Vancouver, Ottawa Valor, Forge York United, TFC Simcoe, Pacific and TSS Rovers who get the Highlander spot, and Halifax and CS Saint Laurent. Where would you like to go, Jordan Wilson?
It's tough that you put it that way. I'm going to focus on two matches because I'm really excited for them.
I hear your rule, and I say,
definitely this Vancouver Calgary match has a lot to it. If Vancouver started the season and they had a point and they weren't looking like they could attack, I say, oh, this one's in the bag for Calgary. They're gonna go play the Whitecaps. This is another story that we've seen before. But in a 90-minute game going straight to pens, Vancouver playing this way, again, I'm not saying Calgary have been awful. It's just you haven't hit the ground running, and they did that last season. They didn't start the greatest, but you're playing them early. This Vancouver side could upset this Calgary team. And then I'll throw a little one because I said it on with my friends when we talk about footy. Is that Halifax Wanderers playing at home with Saint Laurent? I don't say it as well as you do, Adam. I just want to see that game. I want to see if Halifax can go and take it to them and start well. But if not, this game always favors the underdog team. 90 minutes and go straight to pens. There's just that little bit that hangs over you that you have to go and take care of business early. If you're going into halftime, it's 0-0 and you're not scoring, it can sometimes play into your head.
Gareth Wheeler.
So Pacific plays TSS Rovers. The TSS Rovers can't do it again this year, can they? Like
1-0
no
last year.
that shot. A little bit of a different context. A little bit of an different context playing that game at Swangard rather than going to Pacific to play in this game. So I think the context is different. Although I think that TFC will highly rotate. A League One Ontario side even beating TFC's second team or second choice, I can't see it happening. The only one I can sit on, can get behind in the first round is Valor beating Atletico Ottawa. Because Atletico Ottawa, a win and a draw, but they haven't been all that convincing, have they? I don't like. No doubt about it. Atletico Ottawa are significant favorites heading into this game, but I'll look at that one as the one first round game that there's a potential upset. Like, look, like in the Canadian Championship, I know that everyone likes to talk about cup sets, and the TSS Rovers one last season was fantastic, but the winners of Canadian Championship since 2008. Montreal, TFC, Montreal, Vancouver, TFC, Montreal, Vancouver. We still haven't seen that Canadian Premier League team go out and do the job. Year one, Cavalry got past Vancouver, didn't go on to win it though. Like, I don't know. It's going to be exceptionally difficult to spot that upset, but that's why I just stick with the Canadian Premier League Valor versus Atletico Ottawa round 1.
It
First
will,
game.
yes. And quick, Ollie.
Very, very quickly. Cavalry Vancouver feels like a massive game. For a chance to
It
face
sure
the
does.
Whitecaps, like if Vancouver win that, get through that, that's the biggest moment in their history. We know Cavalry's history with the Whitecaps. That is a really big game to start.
The Eagle has landed.
Nigel Reed and Oliver Platt on the call of that match tomorrow on OneSoccer. Can't wait for them.